Rookies are going to be super important in fantasy football this year, so we are going to rank the top rookies. Some of these guys could be league winners, so you're going to want to stick around and see what order we put these rookies in. Do us a huge favor. We need your support to continue to grow our channel, so if you would do two things for us, liking the video and subscribing really, really helps us out more than you could ever know, so we really appreciate all of you guys. We couldn't do it without you. Please do those two things for us. And if you want access to our exclusive content, including our 2023 fantasy football rankings, flockfantasy.com/domain is where we have all that. When you use code domain, you get 30% off the entire site. You get rankings, you get fantasy articles, you get databases to help you. You get access to our Discord where we can give you personalized advice. You can be DMing us and, stuff like that. You can slide into our DMs. That's about fantasy. Anyways, flockfantasy.com/domain and code domain for 30% off. All right, that was stupid. Yeah. All right, 2023 rookie rankings, S tier. Bijan, he belongs in the S tier by himself. I don't think there's another rookie that's just projected to come out and immediately produce like Bijan, because there's not really a rookie that's that level of prospect at their position and walking into the best situation in the league for their volume at that position. Bijan Robinson, again, the best running back prospect we've seen since Saquon Barkley, walking into an offense that ran the ball more times than any other team last year. How many times?
559.
559 times. So Bijan Robinson primed to get the volume, the receiving work for a big year, and the red zone work for a big year as well. So we're going to have him in the S tier by himself, and you've got the A tier.
Yeah, right behind him in the A tier, we have Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously another running back with incredible draft capital, being drafted 112. He's going to be taking over DeAndre Swift's role behind a great offensive line, and we really expect DeAndre Swift, that role that he had with all those receptions, with all those efficient carries that he was able to get. He's not going to be someone who's getting 15 carries a game, but Jahmyr Gibbs will take that over, and he will definitely produce in that offense behind that line. What's up?
I have to say this. So Jahmyr Gibbs plays tonight. So let's be fortune tellers here. This video will come out, next week, but I'm going to just go ahead and say, did you see that play that Jahmyr Gibbs made? Wasn't that freaking crazy?
Yeah.
We told you.
We told you.
That's going to be really funny when he plays 3 snaps because they don't care about him.
No, trust me.
Playing in the
I
preseason.
traveled to the future, and it's going to be all over Twitter.
They're lining him up as a wide receiver.
Sorry, that was stupid. I should interrupt you.
No, you're good. Behind him, we have JSN. JSN is one of the best wide receiver prospects we've seen. Really, he's right up there with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, whether you like it or not. We expect him to come into the Seattle Seahawks offense and immediately lead the team in fantasy production, and that's a huge gamble, but we're willing to bet that, look what he did with Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave in college. Well, expect the same thing in the NFL. Behind him, we have Jordan Addison, who will be playing behind Justin Jefferson. So obviously he's got, a huge shadow looming over him, but, that is going to take a lot of coverage off of him. Justin Jefferson is doubled more than pretty much anyone other than Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs. So Jordan Addison's going to have favorable matchups in the Vikings offense. Kirk Cousins can distribute the ball. We've seen that with Adam Thielen in the offense in the past and TJ Hawkinson last year. So we really expect Jordan Addison to even be cracking the top 24 in fantasy leagues. I don't think that's...
I think he's almost a lock.
I don't think that's bold.
Yeah.
And behind him, we have Anthony Richardson, someone who has untapped potential, right? But he has a lot of potential that he can tap into. Anthony Richardson, he is the most athletic QB ever. More than Cam Newton. So whether he's good at passing the ball or not, look at what Justin Fields did last year with his legs. Anthony Richardson can certainly do the same thing, and he's definitely worth taking a late flyer on at QB.
Yeah, so heading up the beats here is going to be Quentin Johnson, who is tied to Justin Herbert going into this season and playing alongside, granted, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. We think if Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both stay healthy for the entire season, which we haven't seen in a long time, then I think Quentin Johnson really disappoints comparatively to where we have him ranked here. I think, honestly, this is going to be one of the few times where we might be accounting for injury a little bit, and we're going to assume that once the season progresses, either Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, or maybe even both of them, at some point will be out for a significant amount of time, and that's going to be Quentin Johnson's time to shine. And when you're really getting towards the end of your season in fantasy leagues, that's when you're going to be needing Quentin Johnston. You're going to be really glad that you have him. Justin Herbert's going to give him a lot of volume. He is the future alpha. That's why they drafted him in the first round to replace really Keenan Allen, who's not getting any younger. Then you've got Zay Flowers, who is pretty much without question, I think, the alpha wide receiver right off the bat in Baltimore's offense. You've heard, I mean, you're going to hear training camp buzz from everyone, every single rookie going into this season. But with Zay Flowers, I mean, all reports are from the Ravens training camp that I mean, he's got that. He's got that factor, and he is everything. He's everything that they thought he was going to be, and he's really killing it right now. I think it's without question, next to Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers is going to be the guy there, the target for Lamar Jackson. I honestly, personally, going into this year for fantasy, I think I prefer Zay Flowers over Quentin Johnston because I think he's going to get more volume more consistently throughout the season. I don't know what you guys think. That's just my call there, but we will have Quentin Johnston here over Zay Flowers. Zach Charbonnet is up next here. And yes, there's a lot of questions with how's the volume split up going to look like between Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Well, I can tell you that Zach Charbonnet is the primary receiving threat in PPR leagues. That's invaluable. And he is a massively underrated runner where Kenneth Walker really is a lot more dependent on breakaway runs. Zach Charbonnet is a lot more of a consistent runner. Yes, we have not seen it at the NFL level yet, but they drafted him in the second round. I think you can count on it. Dalton Kincaid closing out this tier here. The tight end one immediately in the Bills offense with Josh Allen. We are willing to bet that this season he is Josh Allen's second option. And I mean, if you see how they've been lining him up in training camp, they've been lining him up as a wide receiver. He was literally a wide receiver in college. 890 yards his final season, 70 receptions, 96 targets with a 73% catch rate. I mean,
targets a game.
Yeah, 8 targets a game. He can absolutely handle the volume. He's a very solid route runner, very mature. And look, the way they're lining him up is not going to require that he has to perfect all of these blocking responsibilities that many tight ends are expected to take on with the pass catching ability as well. That's why it takes so long for tight ends to develop and really score fantasy points. I don't think Dalton Kincaid's going to be asked to do that. I think Dawson Knox is really going to be the guy that they're going to have do that more often than not because he's not as talented of a pass catcher as Dalton Kincaid is. What does that mean for fantasy? Kincaid's your guy.
Yep, and could have an immediate impact. Dropping down to the next tier here, this is where it kind of becomes a crapshoot, honestly, because, you know, there usually aren't more than 7, 8, 9 rookies that produce in their first year, at least relatively. So we're going to go back and rank these guys here real quickly. First going to be Rashee Rice. You know, with Rashee Rice, I do think there's a chance he could be one of those significant producers this year. However, he's playing on the Chiefs. It's a different wide receiver every week. It's Travis Kelce every week. Rashee Rice is playing alongside Sky Moore. He's playing along Justin Ross, I guess, if he makes the roster, which is kind of gross, but I do think Rashee Rice is a superior talent. So because of that, and because we do think he has some really nice skills as a wide receiver, we're going to put him here. And again, he's playing with Patrick Mahomes. Next guy's going to be Jayden Reed. Jayden Reed, long-term, is a guy that we absolutely believe in a lot. And even this year, I think Jayden Reed, man, I think he has a higher ceiling than what people give him credit for. That's why we put him second in this tier. The Packers and their receivers are pretty much all brand new. Christian Watson was new last year. Luke Musgrave is going to be new this year. A guy that's getting a lot of training camp hype. And then Jayden Reed, who's going to be playing in the slot with a new quarterback. We'll see how that all pans out, but Jayden Reed, I think, has a higher ceiling than people think. Roschon Johnson's going to be down here, and Roschon's still sitting down there on the depth chart. We will see how quickly he becomes the starting running back in Chicago. We have said for a long time now that we think Roschon Johnson has some underrated fantasy value this year in terms of points. We do think that Roschon Johnson's going to end up being the best running back there. It's just going to be a matter of how long does that take? What approach are they going to take? The Bears, obviously, because they're continuing a hard rebuild in Chicago. Even this year, they're probably going to end up with a top 5 or 10 pick next year as well. So how much do they rely on their running backs, especially with Justin Fields running the ball? We'll see, but that's where we put Roschon. Sam Laporta is going to be next. Man, there are a ton of tight ends that have high ceilings in this class. I mean, I can't think of a better 4 right off the bat than Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta, Luke Musgrave, and Dalton Kincaid. Like, I mean, those 4 guys all have a chance, at least a chance, to come out and produce their first year, which is unheard of for rookie tight ends. And you can say, yeah, you're just overestimating the amount of production rookie tight ends have. No. These guys legitimately are talented enough, and
we know the numbers.
Like, we get the statistics. These guys are talented enough to have an impact. Like, I would guarantee at least 2 of them will have a big impact from a production standpoint their first year. And Laporta's got to be in that conversation, and as does Michael Mayer. And Michael Mayer, you know, we're going to include him in a video later this week as well. But with him, you know, he's going to a team where the second options behind Devontae Adams are going to be Hunter Renfrow, they're going to be Jacoby Myers, and they're going to be Michael Mayer. So when you're talking about the guys that Michael Mayer has to out-target, I'm not necessarily super worried. I do think he's going to get his own. RotoViz is projecting him to get around 50 receptions, 450-ish yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think that's fairly conservative to say that Michael Mayer is going to have 2 touchdowns this year. So given that, I think Michael Mayer is somebody who could be productive. He's not even getting drafted in a lot of leagues. He's a waiver guy at best. He's going as the tight end 30 or 31 on
Who's
Underdog.
in front of him on their depth chart?
No, he's the tight end 1 there. He's the starter. He's not. I mean, we'll cover this in a later video, but he absolutely has a high ceiling from a target perspective this
Austin
year.
Hooper
in PPR
is the other
leagues.
guy there. Michael Mayer.
There's no way they're starting Austin Hooper or Mayer though, right?
Yeah, Austin Hooper's a good blocker.
Yeah.
They'll have him on the field,
Yeah.
but if they run 12 personnel, I think Mayer's the target there.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Speaking of targets, we have Luke Musgrave here in the D tier. To start it off, Luke Musgrave is absolutely someone who has shown the ability to get targets. You know, he didn't get to play much in college. He got hurt a lot, but he definitely showcased the ability to be a good downfield threat. And at the tight end position, you're loving that, especially in a brand new tight end room in Green Bay. They lost all their veterans there, and they're starting over. Behind him, we have Josh Downs, like we said, playing with Anthony Richardson, someone who's pretty unproven as a passer. But Josh Downs has shown the ability to dominate targets. He had a 38.7% target share as a sophomore. He was 20 years old when he did that.
It's not that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's just average.
Decent.
Pretty lame.
So Josh Downs absolutely has some high ceiling here to come out and be able to produce. Whether it happens or not, well, that's why he's discounted this low. Tank Bigsby's behind him. We've all seen his ability, just last night to separate, to produce in the NFL. The question more here is his size. They spent a 3rd-round pick on him, so they believe in him for a reason. Did I say Tank Bigsby?
I don't know. You could have said
Tank Dell.
Tank.
He's got
Tank
2
Dell.
tanks.
Oh, we have 2 tanks in this.
They both just say Tank.
This tier says Tank, and Bigsby.
That is
So
hilarious.
I'm talking about Tank Dell right here, Nathaniel Dell. He has the ability to separate. No one really doubted that if you watched his film. The question here is his size. Behind him, we have Jonathan Mingo. He has the size, but can he separate? Jonathan Mingo's 6'1", 225 pounds, and he runs a 4.4 640, so he's extremely athletic. I'm kind of viewing Jonathan Mingo as something like Christian Watson last year, where he's a really raw, athletic prospect.
Worse.
Worse, yes. But is he able to be utilized in that offense? Well, he has Frank Reich calling plays, so there's a pretty good chance he's going to be schemed up, and he'll do something. So he's worth a shot, especially as a splash play guy. Behind him, we have Kendre Miller. You don't need to worry about Kendre Miller getting a shot. They spent a 3rd-round pick on him. They have Alvin Kamara. He will come back week 4. And they have Jamal Williams. Darius Geis is not signing with the Saints. Have you seen this stuff on Twitter? People are worried that Darius Geis is going to come in. Kendre Miller.
I mean, Kareem Hunt.
Because they almost signed Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
I know. Kareem Hunt, Darius Geis, whatever. Kendre Miller is going to have a role. They spent a 3rd-round pick on him for a reason. They don't need more than 3 good running backs in an offense. So Kendre Miller is definitely someone who's going to get some shots. And if he proves himself, you're going to be glad you picked him up. And behind him, Tank Bigsby. So here's the other tank. Another guy who had draft capital. They plan on using him. NFL teams don't just spend 3rd-round picks on guys that they're never going to use.
He's going to be a practice squad
cut.
player. Like Etienne's not. He's going to get 100.
Not everyone is Des Fitzpatrick. I mean, but Tank Bigsby is going to have a role in that offense. He's shown in college that he can catch passes out of the backfield. He's a good rusher. And he's going to have a role in that offense, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
If you're taking a shot on a backup quarterback towards the end of your rounds, you're going to want to look at C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. I think you could order these guys in whichever way you want. I think we all personally prefer C.J. Stroud this season in fantasy because of his potential rushing upside.
No.
If you're worried about his...
He threw a pick.
Oh, that's right. If you're
Do
worried
not
about
touch
his preseason performance where he threw an interception, I would say everybody just take a big deep breath with me. Exhale. It's going to be okay. He's a rookie quarterback. We love seeing mistakes in the preseason, not in the regular season. He's going to grow from this. It was a
That's the last
preseason
mistake
football
you'll
game.
ever make.
Let's chill. So, look, Bryce Young coming right behind here. First overall pick this season. Really excited to see his future outlook. I think he'll be a successful NFL quarterback long term if I were a betting man. Do I think he's going to be a fantasy stud? not so much. I think he could be a low-end quarterback one. That's his ceiling eventually, but I don't even think that happens this season. But it's worth a dart throw. He could take the NFL world by storm this season. Marvin Mims next. He's looking to be the wide receiver 3 and the speedster, the field stretcher in the Broncos offense, and the only wide receiver there that Sean Payton actually drafted. So I think they could utilize him in some way this season. If it's just taking shots downfield, you're not really going to be able to predict when he's going to get those targets, when he's going to put up those points on a week-to-week standpoint. So that's why if you're looking at best ball, I'm going to be looking at Marvin Mims to be a lot higher than this. But in just regular fantasy and in PPR, like I'm kind of waiver level. So Chase Brown is also going to be that waiver level guy, a guy that you're going to want to just keep your eye on in case something bad happens with Mixon, or if he kind of ends up taking the P. Ryan role since P. Ryan is in Denver now. And then Tyjae Spears, another guy that's backing up Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry goes down, Hassan Haskins will not be the guy they look for. If you see historically, like Deontay Foreman took the bell cow role when Derrick Henry was injured for a significant amount of time, and he was, I mean, he really helped you out in your fantasy teams. So this season, that could be Tyjae Spears if anything did happen to Henry. We're not accounting for injury. That's why Chase Brown and Tyjae Spears are on the tail end of this list.
If you made it this far, you are a dedicated fantasy football player, and we really appreciate you watching. Do us a huge favor, make sure you drop a like on this video and make sure you are subscribed. It helps us out a ton. And if you play fantasy football, we're going to have fantasy football content for you all season long, helping you week by week dominate your fantasy league. So make sure you are subscribed. Flockfantasy.com/domain is where you can find all of our exclusive content. Use our code domain, you get 30% off, and you get all of our rankings, articles, databases. You get our Discord, you get listener leagues. It's very good value. So you're gonna want to join our community over there as well. Like I said, flockfantasy.com/domain. Thank you so much again for watching. We appreciate all you guys, and we'll see you later.